Deixando a banda pra flor, uma boca mais que mim, aquele que o tem que me entende, o cu da manca ninguém.
Climate change issues are important in Latin America because most of Latin American cities are cities that have not been planned.
Around 70% of Latin American population lives in cities, and the number is growing.
Unprecedented short period of time, millions of rural dwellers have come to cities. So we have already seen a lot of challenges in the infrastructure to cope with this increase. So when climate change comes, it aggravates this problem, meaning that a lot of vulnerable low-income populations, communities, are exposed to very high risks. Flooding, landsliding due to huge tropical storms across the region, and also, of course, sea level rise due to the fact that most Latin American capitals are by the sea.
We can see many governments in Latin America compromising to climate change. For example, we have the Pacto de Mexico, which is a pact that was created in a summit in Mexico that show governments compromise to climate change, and annually they release a report where they are showing everything that they are doing in terms of mitigation and adaptation.
In terms of mitigation, a number of cities are keen to take leadership and try to make the case that cities and regions can avoid emissions faster than the central governments are able to deliver through the climate convention. A number of coalitions and networks of regions and cities have been created and try to exchange experience around concrete policies and measures. And this focus on the two main sectors, I would say, in transportation and solid waste disposal. So a number of Latin American cities have been installing the bus rapid transit systems inspired by Bogota Transmillennium project.
So we can see that governments are starting to realize the threat and the opportunity that there is in climate change to prepare for a future that is more resilient.
This is not a task that the governments alone will be able, the local governments will be able to address. I think that previous methods like Agenda 21 and like even the way in which many cities in other countries have addressed the question of resilience, in which you really mobilize resources across the whole society, in which it's not only governments, but there are the private sector and also the communities that also are part of designing how you create this resilience.
More important to exchange practices so that cities and municipalities that face similar challenges and opportunities can learn from each other and enhance their practices.
I think sharing is very important. We actually have had last year in June, during Rio, just previous to Rio +20, a group of cities from all Latin America exactly sharing best practices, sharing lessons learned, and I think this is very important because the problems at the end, they are somehow similar. It's very important because you don't have all the answers and we don't have all these resources, so it's more like how we give some sequence to what you do and how the lessons have shown the best way to address also the obstacles that are there.
You can see it in the mentality on on the media, on the public opinion awareness, we can see a growing awareness about the menace of climate change. And so this is already something very important to start with. And of course there is the long-term motivation that these effects will become more and more important unless you prepare to adapt to them and you mitigate the emissions.
They have a big role to play because it's in the cities where the consumption patterns are developed, where most of the transport emissions happen.
Even it's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of must, because climate change is a reality. We must address and adapt the people to the new world in which we are living, which is a world of adapting to climate change.
Quem é que vem que tá vai? Cá tomam conta cutelo, mas que se cá desprezam pancamar.